Hey, welcome back to the Hometown Hustle. Today's episode features my friend Lee Wassink, who is owner of the Glass Forge, a popular spot for both locals and tourists to visit, but also, like you'll hear in the episode, a glass producer that sends their glass all over the country. Now, like us, Lee loves this community mainly for the people who live and work here and is really glad he followed his dad up here so many years ago. I hope you guys enjoy. Welcome, Lee. What's going on?
Thank you. Yeah, doing good. Enjoying the snow right now.
Enjoying the snow?
Yeah.
You're a snow guy?
Well, I like the precipitation more than the summertime stuff.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. I always tell people I'd rather be cold than I'd be hot.
That's me, exactly.
I just hate being sweaty. I just think it's gross.
Well, and I've got the wrong profession for that.
Of course. Yeah.
I think I should have been a meat packer. So that's
it's just like the Rocky movies, like in there just pounding meat.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's funny. Well, anyway, welcome. Thank you for doing this. Gotten to know you a little bit through the chamber board, and I just think that you have a pretty cool business. You're not well known. I think people know. I think that a lot of people know who the Glass Forge, what the Glass Forge is.
Yes.
But for those who don't know you and don't know know what your business is, just give just a brief overview of who you are and what you do. So
right. So the Glass Forge is basically a glass blowing studio that does anything in between vases and bowls and paperweights. We do it kind of the old style. So in Italy, Venice, in Germany, some of the old countries do a lot of glass blowing from way back. So it's kind of the similar style, similar tools. Nothing really has changed over the years except for the fuel for the furnaces, the insulation for some of that kind of stuff. So it's our studio is less. A lot of people say, "Oh, you must be an artist" or something like that. And our studio is more of a production studio, so we're doing a lot of redundant or repetitive things, but at the same time, we also do a lot of one-offs and one-of-a-kinds, especially for special orders that people come in. They might want something that is just for them or for their living room or something like that. So it's a lot of fun in the sense that you can design things and you can make things, and a lot of times what's the most fun for me is people coming in with their own ideas, and we can kind of help them make it and see it and get something that they like for them. Yeah.
Because you guys, I mean, like you're saying, you do the production side of it. So you do a lot of you provided not all of them, but most of the awards that were just given out at the awards banquet.
That's
right.
A
lot of that glass work is yours.
Yep.
I know that recognition specialties or nice badge, whatever you want to call it, Lowell Gibson did on some of the other awards too, but
right. And in fact, I think they did the engraving on our glass too as well.
Right. So. They do. Yeah. So I was talking with Dan Doyle, our other co-host this morning, and I was just telling him about that we were doing this afternoon. And he's like, it's funny when we first moved. When I first moved up here and I started working at iMortgage or Loan Depot or whatever it was, he's like, which is a national company, they said that a lot of the awards that they would give out throughout the year all over the country came from the Glass Forge and from Nice Badge, which was kind of interesting. It was a lot of that same stuff, which is pretty cool. So
one of our regular customers, he's a corporate awards guy, and he's actually in Jerome Prairie area. But his website has mostly our glass, but it's got a lot of other things on it. But he'll take the paperweights and mount them to marble blocks and inscribe them with, CEO of the Year award. But it's a similar type of awards, except for the most part, if you got one of his from his website, you wouldn't necessarily know that we made it unless you recognized it.
Right.
So that's the other kind of issue. He's sent them out to like the music industry awards, and Google, I think, was one of them. But there's a lot of
your stuff out there.
A lot of the stuff out there. Yeah.
Does it bother you that you don't get recognition for that?
No.
No.
You can just keep buying it.
No, yeah, exactly. Way early on, before we had the studio in Grants Pass, I worked in the Bay Area, and we came up. My folks that were living up here at the time, and there was a little retail type festival thing out at the fairgrounds. So I rented a booth and had some glass that I brought up and sold there. And at one point, this is a long story for nothing, but but I had a big paperweight, and I was fairly new into the glass world, 2 years, something like that, and a lady came up and she was so excited about it and she wanted it and bought it, and she goes, "Oh, this is going to make the perfect doorstop." My mom just about took her to town. She was just like, "I can't believe what is she?" I was like, "She bought it. Yeah. It's up to her what she does with it.
Do whatever you want with it, lady. Yeah.
It's fine with me."
And it probably did make the best doorstop.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of my first, I guess I just like making it.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't matter. Once it's gone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Glass Forge, you guys also do a really cool thing during Christmas time too, where people can come in and blow their own Christmas ornaments. Is that right?
That is, and actually it's year round. We get them all the time. We had some in today even, and the busiest times during the summer when we get a lot of tourism and a lot of people that come in off the street to make their own ornaments, or you can make a paperweight or a bowl or
a doorstop.
Or a doorstop. Perfect. Exactly.
I might come in for that. I do need a doorstop.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And people really enjoy that too. I bet you it's a pretty neat experience.
Yeah, it was something we started not too much right away. It was several years into it, and I think we noticed a few other people were doing it, a few other studios were doing it, and it was just kind of like we started doing it for fun and not really charging people enough, basically, and then it just started growing and growing, and people came to expect it almost when they came to a studio. "Oh, can we make our own stuff?" And we originally wanted to try and do a class possibly, and we partnershiped with RCC at one point for a summer, and most people we found didn't really want to take a class. They just wanted to try it and be able to bring something home and say, "Hey, I made this."
Yeah.
And so that's what's kind of cool about that.
Yeah, awesome. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about you. Where are you from? How did you get here to Southern Oregon?
So how did I get here to Southern Oregon? My back in when I was right about after I graduated from high school, my dad was kind of drawing bigger and bigger circles on the map as far as what he could afford. He didn't own his house. He rented at the time or worked at a campground, and was ready to build his dream house. He was a contractor and kind of did a little bit of everything. So that was what he wanted to do. And so he bought property up here out in the Murphy area, 5 acres. I think it was 5 acres for about $20,000. And after I graduated from college was when he was ready to move and make the transition from work. And so he had a trailer on the property. So I came out after graduation, helped him build his house. And we contracted out the foundation and the insulation, but we did pretty much everything else.
Is it still standing?
It's still there. It's got foundation's great.
Yeah, the foundation's got great foundation. Yeah.
So I enjoyed the area after spending that time. It was about a year that I spent up here, and then they moved up, and I went down to the Bay Area and worked for a glass studio down there for 4 years, and kind of realized I could do this. We could make it a living, and met 2 other partners down there at the time that the 2 businesses that we worked for let us have the glass after hours on Fridays. So we would stay after work on Fridays, and sometimes we'd be there until wee hours in the morning, not necessarily always blowing glass, but kind of hanging out together and playing. And we realized that we worked well together. So one of my visits up here, we kind of scouted around for buildings, and I found the building that we're in now, and it was empty and ready to go. So we kind of made the jump, and my other 2 partners were ready to move, and went from there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still have the same 2 original partners?
I still have one of them. The other one retired about 8 or 9 years ago now, and then moved to Missouri area.
Yeah.
So
It's quite the change.
yeah, well, he was originally from the Midwest and
Yeah.
just moved back. Had family still out there.
Yeah. How'd you like your time in the Midwest?
I enjoyed it from the standpoint knowing that I wasn't going to be there forever.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of humidity. Not a big fan of
Heat of all things.
heat of all things. Yeah, yeah,
Big
yeah.
bugs,
Exactly.
tornadoes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like the earthquakes. You know,
You're more of an earthquake guy. Makes sense.
Yeah, I like it when the ground shakes from underneath my feet for no reason.
Now you got wildfires.
well,
too.
it's it's job security for us as earthquakes there too. So
Glass, yeah.
But no, I've always enjoyed traveling. I in fact, with my kids, I said, go do it. Go live somewhere else for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, check it out. You might like it. Might, nothing's permanent.
There's a lot of cool places out in the world.
There is. There's a lot of neat places.
Yeah. Talk to me about the glass blowing process, because I am absolutely mystified how the colors and the swirls. I have a friend, and you might know her. Her name is Katie O'Meara. She did a little glass blowing at her house on the side. Like, she made some marbles for me and my family, and like inside of them is like a little corkscrew inside this little marble. And I just find it fascinating how you
Is she
can.
in Ashland?
She lives on the coast now.
Okay.
But, yeah, but she made these little marbles for me, 7 or 8 years ago, and it's just fascinating what people can do with glass. I mean,
It is, and there's millions of things. You're only limited by your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different processes involved. So even with, if you can imagine, stained glass is working with glass, or glass blowing the way we do it. And then there's the torch work that you might have seen at malls, or maybe that's what she does, where there's rods of glass with a torch in front of you, kind of like this mic, and you'll be using the rods and kind of melting them together. There's that much difference between that kind almost and stained glass and our glass. So it's a lot of times the rods and the torches are usually, not always, but they're kind of more synonymous with pipes and bongs, making those kind of, because it's Pyrex. And,
Okay. No pipes and bongs at the Glass Forge.
No
just
pipes and bongs,
just
no.
FYI, people. Okay.
Stay in school.
Stay in school.
Just say no. Yeah, that being said, Pyrex, kind of like what you were saying earlier, Kleenex tissue, Pyrex hard glass. That's a different kind of glass. Corning, I did a 2-week class in Corning, New York, where the Corning Museum is. And one of their scientists, if you will, I guess,
Okay.
they melt several 150 at the time, different kinds of glass a day, experimenting with different things. Your cell phone glass on the outside of your cell phone, the Gorilla Glass, if you might have heard of it, that came from Corning.
Okay.
Very similar process as far as getting it hot. It has to be 2,000 degrees at one point to convert it from the sand, soda ash, and lime to a glass substance. And even on that note, there's still things that they don't quite understand what and why glass does what it does. It's kind of a really weird material that's a lot of fun to play with.
A lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it's very much science, isn't it?
Yes. Yep. Yep. The colors, you asked about the colors. With kids that come in, one of the fun things to kind of get their brains to figure out is, when you go, what color's the glass? And they take a lot of guesses. And then, so you say, well, what color is the Statue of Liberty? And they're greenish. And what's the Statue of Liberty made out of? It's copper. And they say, okay, well, if you put copper in glass, what color is it going to be? And so they kind of put it together, and it will be green. So blues is like a cobalt oxide, reds is selenium and cadmium. There's a lot of different heavy metals that you can mix with glass and get different results with it. the more you add to glass, the less glass it is. So sometimes you have to add other things to make it back into the same kind of thing, because it'll change the process of it all. And if you have the wrong types of glass together, another kind of simplistic way of looking at it is like baking a cake. So if you make a cake, there's chocolate cake, vanilla cake, pineapple upside down cake. You mix them all together.
Carrot cake.
They're not going to be very good.
Strawberry
That's not really a
shortcake.
cake. Carrot cake is a vegetable cake.
Sorry, I haven't had cake in a while. So. Angel food cake. No.
Keep going.
Yeah, I can go. I'd be like Bubba from Forrest Gump. Be like, yeah, shrimp gumbo, shrimp salad, shrimp and potatoes, fried shrimp, butterfly shrimp,
Someone's hungry.
shrimp cake.
But if you take them all together, it's not very good. So glass is the same way. You can't mix a whole bunch of different kinds of glass together.
I disagree. I think you can. I think you can mix a lot of cake and it would be delicious.
You want some shrimp cake?
Some shrimp
Let's
cake.
try it out.
Yeah, that reminds me of that Friends episode. You remember that?
yeah.
We talk about that. You ever watch
parfait?
Friends?
Yeah.
Remember, there's that episode. It's like Christmas or something, and Rachel decides that she's going to make Christmas dinner, and the cookbook that she's using to make dinner, like the pages get stuck together, and so she makes like a shepherd's pie and like a dessert and like mixes them together.
It's like a beef tenderloin parfait.
It's like a beef tenderloin party. Yeah, it's exactly right. It's the way it sounds is gross, and they're all taking bites of it, and they're all like, "Gross! This is nasty." You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah.
Boss is like,
Of course, I watched it while it was on
Yeah.
air for the first time, so there it is.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, but it's funny. Joey's just digging into that thing, and they're like, "What could be worse? Meat, good. Potatoes, good. Whipped cream, good." Great show. Anyway, that's how I feel about cake. So
There you go.
yeah,
shrimp.
I think you need some, I guess.
I know. I'm on this dumb diet right now. But anyway, so you can't mix sidetrack. So you can't mix different materials or different glasses with other kinds because it
just wouldn't work. It just doesn't work together. So
okay.
Original question?
Just the base. I totally
The
screwed that up.
process of it all.
Yeah.
So we've got a big furnace that runs 24/7, and it holds around 400 pounds of molten glass in a big crucible. Wow. And so it's kind of like getting honey on a knife. We've got rods that are around 4.5 feet long, and you kind of go and turn them in there and gather up a little bit of glass. And if you need more, you let the glass cool down and become a core, and then you gather up some more on there. And then you can, if the rod is solid or hollow, depending on what you're going to make, if it's hollow, you can start a little bubble in there and kind of blow it out some more and add the color and the little chips or bigger chips or even a big chunk of color to add a different way, and it'll do different things that way. So
It's just like, I guess, any other medium, right? I mean, you can just do millions of things with it.
Yep.
So
They make it look so easy though.
yeah.
Well, and nowadays with the internet, the interweb, that there's so many different videos of people doing it, and you know, that's what's kind of fun to me is like, oh, I want to try that. Ooh, I haven't seen somebody do that before, and then you end up putting your own twist on it anyway, and making something completely different. Or sometimes when we're making it, you can actually screw it up pretty nice, and then have something else completely. So
If you mess up, can you just go dump it back into the?
you can, if it was just clear, you can, but with colors and stuff, it's a little bit like mixing all the watercolors, like the water that you dip your brush in. It's kind of not so great.
Not going back in.
But at the same time, with a lot of those ones that are messed up, we have people that come in and they'll make jewelry out of it, or we've got a lady that melts them down in her own kiln and glues them onto like musical instruments and sells them that way. And then there's we actually take a bunch of our broken pieces and put them in a Harbor Freight cement mixer and tumble them for a few days and turn them into sea glass that people love digging through and finding little bits and stuff.
So
and then
no-
they go, where did you find all this sea glass?
Yeah. I made it.
Exactly.
So with the hollow rod, are you actually physically blowing the glass, or is there like a machine you hook it up to now?
Well, we are. There are other glass blowers that use like an air compressor or something like that. But yeah, you're just basically using your own your own breath to blow up a bubble. I don't know if you ever played with those, like the little coin-operated vending machines where you'd get a little...
The little plastic.
yeah, with the straw.
You make your balloons.
Oh,
you
yeah.
make a little balloon, and that smelled...
Horrible. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's kind of like that on a bigger scale.
Is it hard to blow? Like, do you have to have a lot of lung power to do that?
Depends on how hot it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's really hot, if you're working it correctly, it probably shouldn't take any more pressure than blowing up a balloon.
Okay.
But the colder it is, the less it moves, and then it's,
A trumpet.
yeah, exactly.
Just nothing.
And then the other thing people always ask is, what if you inhaled? Would it, and I was I didn't even inhale in college. So that,
It would take a long time to get it through 4.5 feet.
that's it exactly. Yeah, but it's surprising how many people are like, oh, it's going to hurt you. It's not going to really bother you at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, what a cool process. That's pretty neat. I gotta go down there and try some of the ornament
Yeah,
stuff.
I want to
Just
do
go
too.
that.
So if I come make my ornament, do I get to go to that big vat of?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
we'll show it to you.
Yeah, there's not like a kiddie pool that you have to play in.
No, come over here to this vat of lava, little boy.
Pool, yeah.
Do you still let the kids do it? Because I remember back when my kids were younger, we used to do a field trip.
Yes.
We brought the kids out there. It was
Yep.
super cool. Well, it was
Oh,
actually
kids love it.
really hot, but
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, kids love it. In fact, a lot of times you'll get the parents that, might have a hyperactive kid or something like that. And they're like, oh, we don't want to bring them in there. But
probably
all
good
of
for
them just are captivated by it. They just really love watching it.
yeah,
for
my
the most
kids
part.
loved it. It was super
What's the
cool.
youngest age?
We always say if they can blow a bubble in a milkshake, they can pretty much do it.
That's so you're gonna take my 2-year-old then.
We probably could. If
Yeah.
she can blow out her birthday candles.
Yeah.
She or he?
He my 2-year-old is he. He'll be 3 3 next week, but Lincoln can blow bubbles in his milkshake, can he?
Probably. He just thinks he's a dinosaur most of the time.
He does, dude. That kid's wild. Dinosaur Lincoln, for
Yeah,
sure.
When I'm just hearing this, I'm like, it would be cool to bring them in because I'm sure they'd love to do that. So,
Yeah.
Your kid would probably pick up that thing and chuck it across the room, though.
well, yeah, don't take your eyes off them.
Yeah.
For
Probably
sure.
poke you right in the butt with some hot glass.
The little kids get the 4-foot pole too.
Well, it depends. We kind of gauge it towards however their kind of skill level. So for the most part, most younger kids, we just hand them the hose with a little mouthpiece on it. And they end up doing the blowing part, and then, but we do have different levels of experimenting, I suppose, where they can sit down on the bench and roll the rod and do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
I dig it.
And then we get tours for schools, and I mean, you mentioned the tours, and a lot of times we'll get school tours. I think it was our 20th anniversary. We opened it up to all the schools in the county. I'm pretty sure it was all them, that they all came in and got to blow their own floats, and then we hid a lot of these floats around town. That was back in the, when was that? Anyway, 20 years after 98, whatever that ends up being. 2018, something like that.
Yeah.
Hit them just for fun, like kind of like people paint rocks and leave them around town.
Yeah, it was
type
the
of
same
thing?
kind of idea. Yep, we went through with some of the other businesses and had them put them on their shelves somewhere, and if people came in looking for them, we kind of had them kind of help them find them or whatever if they had regular customers or something like that.
Yeah. No, cool. A cool business. You definitely got to take the family in there. A lot of fun.
A lot of really good stuff in there too. The gallery is really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So do you have, for the production side of things, then you have employees that are just doing this all day?
Yeah, we do. We just, in fact, they're probably usually glass pumpkins don't really hit their stride until, of course, as it gets closer to August, September. And being a lot of our stuff is wholesale, we've got galleries and gift shops that pre-order and they want their Christmas stuff in September. So a lot of times our Christmas rush is earlier than you normally would think. But right now there's a gallery in Tacoma, I believe it is, that ordered 200 of one size pumpkins and 300 of the other size. So, yeah, usually that doesn't happen right there first thing in the year, but she emailed me and said, well, I don't usually order enough. So yeah, the workers aren't so happy about that.
Yeah,
right?
they're like, I never want to see a pumpkin again.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got three, 4 guys that are pretty much full-time, and then actually 3 guys that are pretty much full-time, and then another gal that comes in part-time, and a gal that works on Saturdays for us. So about 7 of us that are making it all the time.
And are they come in raw and you have to train them, or do they have a background?
Both. So one of the guys that's working for us now, he's out of San Diego, and he kind of learned at a college, similar kind of story as myself, that he found it in college and then down at Palomar. And then his folks moved up here, and so he kind of came in, and he had some glass experience, mostly actually with the torch work that I was talking about earlier. And then another guy that we have came in, his brother used to work for us and went off to be a farrier. So when he left us, he told his brother, hey, you need to go in there and get a job. So he came in, pretty much never had touched glass other than his window panes.
His bong.
Yeah, exactly. Just kidding. No, that might be closer to the truth. But really took to it, and it's one of those things where if you try it and it hooks you.
Yeah.
Or you try it and it's just not for you.
So do you have to have like an artistic knack to be able to go in there and do it? Like I can't color inside the lines. Can I go in and do a pumpkin?
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
That's because you eat the crayons before they
How my teeth look.
glue sticks too, right? Is that the
No, it's crayons for Marines, red ones especially.
They taste the best.
They taste Sorry.
like green M&Ms?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's another thing about green M&Ms, and Lawton doesn't need them, so I'll leave him alone.
But I
never heard that before then. No?
No.
You don't know the thing about green M&Ms? Oh, good grief.
No.
Apparently green M&Ms make you horny is the rumor. But at least that's my wife's uncle thinks that.
Yeah, that was
That was watermelon.
that was the saying back in the 80s. So that was
Yeah, my wife's
Never heard any of that.
no.
Anyways, so I can come in and I can blow a pumpkin. A green one.
yes, a green one. Yes, you could. And to be honest, people always ask, oh, you must be an artist. That's the first of things from my mind. I have a hard time drawing a stick figure, so it's the same kind of thing. I just really enjoy working with my hands. I enjoyed building the house with my dad. I enjoy being outside doing stuff like that. And, not to get on a rant, but that's what I think is a lot missing out of high schools these days is being able to put the connection between your brain and your hands together. And it's all brain-oriented right now, and that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of kids need to be able to put them both together and use them that way, and not necessarily in an artistic way. I prefer craftsman as far as a label, if you have to label me anything. But other than that, it's just fun to do.
So who does the specialized pieces when people come in and they want, this is what I want to do?
Sometimes it depends on who they're talking to at the moment. You can get the best feel, sometimes translating what you say to this person, to that person, it doesn't always work out very well. And in fact, most of the time I try to have people draw it out or take a picture or find something online and say, this is what I'm looking for. Because what you have in your head and what I hear in my ears generally isn't the same thing. And then what we also hear sometimes is, oh, that's exactly what I asked for, but that's not what I want. So, and we're pretty easygoing with that kind of thing. We'll make something, and if you don't like it, we don't want you to have it. So you're not going to buy it.
Just turns into sea glass at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Our gal that works on Saturdays sometimes likes to do that. She
Makes sea glass?
If there's a piece that she doesn't like anymore, yeah, it makes a bad day better sometimes.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. No, we had Brad Converse on here from Bradley Putters.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's making custom putters for everybody, and that was a pretty interesting thing for him, as he spends so much time working with these people and trying to figure out exactly what they want.
Yep.
But he said the same thing. Like, if they don't like it, then I'll remake it.
Yep. No,
I'll
that's
do
the
something
way we
else.
are.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, that's not my personality to work with people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I'd rather be just sitting in the back making glass. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's still kind of fun to get their smile on their face. And, some people just really get excited once you get what they want, or even better, and they get to go on with it. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good feeling.
Is it a same day process or takes time?
No, and that's a good question. It depends on the custom orders. A lot of times I'll say, give us 2 to 4 weeks. Some people want to watch it being done too, so we try to schedule when we're going to do it, and then they can come in and see it being made at the same time.
Wow.
So that kind of gives them a connection that way. But either way, when we make it one day, it does have to cool slowly to room temperature. So even if we made it today, they still have to wait until tomorrow or sometime after lunch to be able to pick it up and take it home. And then it depends on the item, because it still might need some what we call cold working. So it might be grinding. It might be for lampshades and stuff like that. It would be drilling holes in it so that we can put the socket set or the wiring into it. So at the very least, it'll be at least a day before they can take it home.
Crazy. What is that process like, having somebody stand over your shoulder and watch you make the glass? That I feel like that would bother me a lot.
It's always kind of funny because you do get used. I mean, after whatever it is, 25 years or so, you get kind of used to it, well, that's thinking about a story back when I was first starting working down in the Bay Area. We had a lot of people coming through there, and then every once in a while, they wouldn't be very clear, and you wouldn't think anybody was behind you, and you'd be working along just, and all of a sudden it'd be shocking to have somebody behind you, like, watching you. So it was but the same kind of thing here. It's kind of fun. First Fridays used to be, for us, a lot busier, but we'd get crowds of people in the very beginning, and you could screw something up and they would never know. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of entertaining for them. They love, and sometimes, especially with the newer people that we have working for us, if you have them working on a piece, it makes it look a lot harder. Yeah. So it's kind of nice with people watching then too. So that it's
after as long as you've been doing it, it probably doesn't look very hard anymore.
Right. Well, and that's what. Yeah. A lot of people will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you think is probably one of your most favorite or memorable pieces that you've made?
A lot of times when people ask that question, they ask it in a different way sometimes, and it's mainly, what do you like making? What's your favorite piece? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's more of, it sounds a little bit like an excuse, but it's more of the piece that I'm making at the time. Mm-hmm. So it's once again the process. I enjoy the process. Yeah. The piece after the fact is not a big deal to me. It's kind of like, I like the glass in our house. I like having it nearby. I'm kind of a tactile person, so just even like right here, I'm just holding something and twiddling with it. And
right.
And the glass is the same way, just having something with texture and having it nearby. But for the most part, the finished product isn't a big deal.
Yeah,
it's the process.
Okay.
So
it's a little bit of a scapegoat, Lee. I get it. It's all good. It's all right.
Well, and then the other thing would have been like some of the projects. Like the fish, I don't know if you've been in the emergency room at the hospital, the fish on the wall. That was kind of a fun project to do. A lot of different fish going on. So that's kind of fun. To repeat a theme, getting something that somebody else really enjoys, that's a lot of fun.
Sorry for the interruption. Just wanted to remind you that if you're enjoying the podcast, please hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. It is the best way to support the channel, and without your support, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you, and let's get back to it. Nice.
What's the biggest thing you've ever made?
Biggest thing. There's some big pieces that we've made. Most of the time when I'm making a big piece, it's not necessarily something on order. It's just for fun. But there was a lighting company down in the Bay Area that used to contract out for us, and he would make these big, he wouldn't make them, we'd make them for him, but he would make these fixtures for these big giant hotels and stuff like in London. And but he would demand big giant, mainly clear, different shapes. Sometimes they would look like a big light bulb that was flat on one side but rounded on the other, or some of them look like big giant terrariums or something like that. But when some of those were pretty drastically big.
Yeah. That's so odd that someone can just come in and from anywhere in the world, they find Grants Pass and they find you, and they're like,
I want a large lopsided circle.
Right. Yeah. Well, and this guy, we were talking to another lighting company, and I mean, he just had all kinds of things to say about this guy. Just I don't know, can you say balls on the air? But or whatever.
Balls?
Yeah. He said, that guy has huge ones.
It's the dude's podcast today for sure. Balls, bonks,
and green M&Ms.
and green M&Ms.
But most of the time they would find us. So we don't do them so much anymore, but we used to do a lot of wholesale shows. And so one of the bigger ones is in New York, and we'd have a little 10 by 10 or 10 by 15 booth in the Javits Center and set it up and spend, I don't know, almost a week down there in the basement of some weird building in New York, and thousands. And if you walked the halls of these wholesale shows, it's like miles. I mean, literally miles of booths and people, but that's generally where they would find us. We did them in San Francisco and Seattle and Las Vegas and stuff, but Philadelphia was another big one.
Do you do a lot of conventions and stuff now, or is that?
We haven't. The year before COVID, we kind of had enough business that year that we kind of, I don't even really remember the reasoning we stopped that year, but we didn't do them that year. And then COVID hit, and obviously none of them were happening. And ever since, we really haven't needed to go back to them. I imagine one of these years we will probably hit them again just to kind of get our name back out there again. But
I mean, is that a super effective way to gain business then, or?
It's not super effective. No,
Okay.
It would be just an effective way. And with the internet, when we first started, the internet really wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And what was there, people weren't real confident, or my age group and older weren't really confident in sending things in the mail or knowing that's what I'm going to get. Mm-hmm. So now my age group and younger, they'll order anything online.
Yep.
And you'll expect it the next day.
Yep.
And if you have to return it, fine, I'll return it. You know, it's not a big deal anymore. So that's changed a lot for us because people they really didn't want to order glass, through the mail. Mm-hmm. So that's where our galleries and gift shops across the country, that's where we got a lot of them from, was the wholesale shows. And they would put it out to the people, and we'd send it to them, and then sell them that way.
So is that where a lot of your, like, how you generate a lot of your business is through your galleries and stuff? I mean,
that was originally a lot of it. That was probably around several years ago. It used to be closer to probably 70% of our business.
Okay.
And now probably around almost 50% of our business is out our front door, meaning people walking in.
Yeah.
And then we've got a guy that does the corporate awards that I was talking about, and his has come down a little bit, but he's probably 15%. We've got a guy that sells cremation urns for us, and he works with distributors, mortuaries, and the general public for the urns. And he does probably around 30% of our business doing it that way. And then the rest is galleries and gift shops.
So these are like contractors that you hire, salespeople that you go out and do this for you, or?
Kind of like an unpaid rep. We had one rep earlier on that I really didn't like the way it was set up as far as us paying a percentage of him. And then he took some of the customers that we already had that liked to deal with the artists on their own, and then they didn't understand working with a rep, and why can't I talk to you guys? Well, you can, but blah, blah, blah. So these guys work independently of us, and then we pretty much sell them, we sell them wholesale, or for both of them, actually, it's better than wholesale just because of the ongoing relationship with them. And they take it from there. They market wherever they want to market. And
it's your price point based off of time, material.
Yeah, and that's always a good question. It's time and material, but at the same time, it's also, material would be kind of size. I was going to say size of piece. A lot of people still look at a piece, and if it's this big, it can't be as much as something that's this big, no matter what it is. A bean counter would have fun with us because we just kind of make things up.
It's interesting. I hadn't thought about it coming into this. I just thought that you guys just made cool stuff, but I just hadn't really thought about where a lot of your business comes from. So I'm kind of just curious.
Yeah.
Just being somewhat of an entrepreneur myself, it's just kind of interesting thinking about how you build these relationships. And I mean, if you didn't have wholesale, it would be a lot harder to,
No. Yeah. When we were first starting, I had a girlfriend at the time that just couldn't wrap her mind around it. Why would you pick Grants Pass? Why would you go up there? They don't know anything about art up there. They're not going to, you're not going to be able to make a living there. And I'm like, we're going to be sending it wherever UPS delivers, we can send it. Mm-hmm. And she still couldn't quite. It was like, we're not relying on Grants Pass, which was good in the beginning. Yeah. But Grants Pass has been great for us. Going back to the chamber and their volunteers, they do great stuff for us all the time and send people to us all the time. And now with the advent of more internet stuff, even like stuff like this, people pulling up their phone, what to do in Grants Pass, it's just almost a no-brainer. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, that's one of the things that I do appreciate about technology and social media is that it's very easy for people to figure out what's what.
Right.
I noticed on like the Visit Grants Pass Facebook page, or Instagram page, same thing. From Visit Grants Pass, I mean, they've featured you on there quite a bit, and that's that's pretty cool. It's before you'd have to like stroll into town and kind of just stumble across it, or run into somebody that and ask a question like, where do I go? What do I do? And it's just, people can find that stuff at their fingertips, which is pretty cool.
It's so easy, and it is kind of funny still. I don't know, age group or whatever, but it's still kind of funny how many phone calls we get. It's like, where are you at? How do we get there?
Google.
You've got
Google
a pretty
Maps.
great location.
And it's
pretty easy to find.
It's pretty easy to find, and it's still off. And there's still, like every once in a while, somebody will get on Google Maps or their thing, and that'll tell them down near Safeway on the other side. For some reason, G Street gets a little bit weird with the
reader,
the maps.
I would assume it's probably who's reading the map.
Yes, it's
user
probably
error.
User error. Yeah,
text to speech.
Yeah,
speech to text.
That's really cool. Is that your responsibility to kind of help grow the business and keep all that back end stuff going? Or
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's the part that's interesting to me. I went into college thinking I was going to be a mathematician or an engineer or something like that. I came out of high school in AP calculus, and that's pretty much where I hit the wall, and that was all I could do. And
I didn't even get that far, so it's all good.
Yeah, well, when I went to exactly, but it's fascinating. Cake.
Cake. Yeah, back to cake. Yeah.
But I've always liked numbers, and I took a business management class in college, not thinking that I would ever use it. I just had to fill a requirement, and my mom a while back was digging through my old letters, and she was, "Oh, it's so funny. You said you never wanted to. The only thing you realized from taking the business management class is you didn't want to be a manager." She goes, "And guess what you're doing now?" I said, "Yeah, I know." Yeah.
I mean, do you like that side of it? I mean, I'm sure there's probably a lot of satisfaction from it. I mean, that's what I enjoy most about the real estate team that we have. Like, I enjoy the back end stuff even more than the transactions sometimes, which is
right.
Yeah.
No, and I do. I like looking to see the numbers. I like looking at the trends. I'm not a big fan of managing people, and work. Well, I don't mind working with people, and we do have a good team, so that's very nice and very important. But yeah, sometimes it's nice to be in the office and look at the paperwork, get things done, and talk to the customers. And once again, it comes back to customer satisfaction with even our galleries. They don't necessarily aren't the end users, but they see the end users, and the fact that they get to see happy people too after the fact, makes good stories.
Sure. So this question kind of just popped up in my head, and I'm kind of curious. Just, you say you're not like a people manager. How your employees? You said you have 6 or 7 of them,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What's your longest tenured employee? Like, how long is?
Currently,
Yeah.
or
Currently,
long?
yeah.
So currently, let's see, probably. Well, we have one guy that might have put it. He's put in more time, but he did take a year off. So it might be 8 years now.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is you really don't have a lot of turnover, I'm assuming.
No, we don't. We recently got 2 guys that they got hired on about the same time, about 7 months ago, and they've both have taken to it. They've really learned well with it. One actively sought us out. The other guy came in kind of through the back door at one point, and but no, they're doing really well. And it's kind of one of those things. I don't like treating people any different than me. Mm-hmm. So I learned early on that almost everybody should do almost all the jobs there at one point or another. Mm-hmm. And that's anywhere. So nobody's too good not to clean the bathrooms. Nobody's too good to do that kind of thing. So,
but you're not a micromanager by any means, I would imagine.
I try not to be because I don't like it.
Yeah. And just you can kind of pick up on your leadership style a little bit, with what you said. You're going to do the work that the other people are going to do, and so no, that's cool.
Unfortunately, sometimes that ends up being that you end up doing a lot of work. I try to think that I'm not going to ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do either. I think that's the mind frame for sure.
Right?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's quite the opposite. Like you said, I think you probably end up doing more of the work.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to ask us to do it, and you'll just do all of it.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys do a lot. So
I'm like, look at this cool post I just made. He's like, hold on. We're going to fix that.
We're going to fix that. Can't do that. We were just doing that before you got here, Lee, actually. No. I try not to micromanage. I try to let them do their thing. But yeah, I'm also stupid OCD with like how things look.
There's that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and that's part of the reason where why I'm doing most of the financial end of it as far as the computers and stuff like that, because it's like, when we first started, one of my partners, I said, "Did you balance the checkbook?" Well, it was close. What's close mean? No. I can't do that.
Close. Yeah. Who would you say does the majority of that out of you and your brother, Lawton?
Oh, we actually take turns.
Take turns?
Yeah, every other month we balance the checkbooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you find that one of you gets more enjoyment out of it than the other? Or?
In different ways. My brother's definitely more, he likes that type of thing. He's more analytical, likes the numbers. For me, I'd probably just get more peace out of knowing that everything's in line and how it should be. So, yeah. But it's good because it's like, we look at it different ways. We catch different things. Mm-hmm. It's nice not to have to do it every month as well.
Well, and that's good too. Yeah. And then that way both of you are up on how to do it too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like that. And like every now and then he'll do it 2 times, or I'll do it 2 times because he got busy or he's on a trip or whatever.
More likely he's in Montana somewhere.
Off in the woods.
Hunting the mysterious elk or fishing in a river with no fish.
Always.
We're
going to do that this weekend.
Fishing a river with no fish?
Yeah. The Rogue River.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's fishing. Lots of fish in that river for sure. Yeah.
So then what do you do percentage-wise? Would you say actually blowing glass or working with glass versus operations?
Oh, percentage-wise, well, let's see. Usually, lately anyway, the schedule for me is I usually roll in around 9-ish probably, and then break at lunch from 12 to 1. In between there, I'll be blowing glass, but every once in a while, finished piece, pop in, check email, see if there's anything pressing, and then go back to making stuff. Work from 1 to 3-ish, and then from about 3 on is mainly just office work, and or putting out fires or trying to light fires or,
Like literally or non-literally?
Sometimes literally. Yeah. Turns out most of the time, if you're a glass blower, you probably had some sort of history in pyro.
Yeah.
Pyromania.
Yeah.
Burning stuff.
Fire.
Burning stuff. One of the guys that used to work for us, he said, I'm going to start a YouTube channel that says things to throw in the glory hole. Which
it's the fire hole.
You asked about saying balls, but you didn't ask about talking about a glory hole,
yes,
Lee.
Exactly. So we'll just leave that right there. No.
Danny? My videographer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's one of the
things to dump in a glory hole. Go for it, Lee. Just go ahead and dig that hole.
One of the equipments that we use is actually called a glory hole. But, it's funny when you have people that come in and you're explaining things, and because just like that, you won't even necessarily think about it anymore.
Yeah,
and then you can just see it cross over somebody's face. Oh yeah, you know what that is, don't you?
and then if they say anything, you'd be like, exactly. You're the one who went there.
Hey,
that's what this thing's called.
And then if there's other people around, they're like, what?
Yeah. How did you turn that around on me? You did it too. That was easy. You just flipped that right around. Yeah. You did that with experience. That was not new. So got him.
There's a lot of innuendos for glass blowing.
Yeah,
I'm certain there are.
There's innuendos for everything. So there's lots of insurance and real estate too. So
how often do you have to take a turn on the fan? The fire. Don't you have one of those big?
Oh, a big bellows? Yeah, no, not so much. Usually only if the electricity goes out.
Do you actually have one?
No, we don't. Sorry.
Usually the electricity goes out. You said you did it old school.
That's right. Yeah. Except for a few things.
Yeah. Well, cool. One of the things, I always like this question because I think it opens up some stuff, but one of the questions we asked is who inspires you? Mm-hmm. And you said your dad.
Yep.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think a lot of my work ethic came from him. A lot of things that he did that I don't do. I guess one thing in particular that I always think about is he generally jumped in. He generally always had a plan, but even when he didn't have a plan, he didn't let that necessarily stop action. And so a lot of times myself, I find I get stopped by a lot of inaction if I don't have a plan. So I'll sit there and think about it. Oh, if I should do it this way, can I do it that way? Or if I don't do it this way, then I should do it that way. And I end up not doing anything. And he would always jump in and just start
doing something,
and eventually it would get done. He knew a lot about everything, mm-hmm. and he just about could do anything. So just in that sense, very smart, treated his wife well, just overall life life inspirational.
Yeah,
I guess.
good person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's great.
I love that. My dad's my biggest role model. So it's just I always like that when I see it. So it's just kind of get curious about it. This is where that comes from.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you live in the house that you built with your dad?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. Currently we
That's
do.
awesome.
He died about 6 years ago, and at that point we built about 1,200 extra square feet on and moved my mom into that part. She's 83. But she's fine. She's still driving around. In fact, she's like keeps trying to hand her car keys over to my wife, and she's like, "No, not yet. Not yet. Not driving you around just yet." But yeah, with 2 of our kids still living at home, they keep her active. We've got the dogs that keep her active. She walks them, and but yeah, we're living on the old side, and so I'm starting to fix things in a 30-year-old house that need updating and fixing and that kind of stuff. So
It's pretty normal.
yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. So we kind of started talking about it. You were mentioning the chamber and doing a lot of good things. They were doing a lot of good things for you. What are some other things about this community that stand out to you that you find interesting that people should know about it?
The thing that I enjoyed about, you asked about the Midwest, and the thing that I enjoyed about the Midwest is the small town feel. I don't know if that's everywhere in the Midwest, obviously, but that's kind of what they're known for. And that's what I felt when I was out of college out there. College was about 1,200 people in a town that was maybe, it was a little smaller than Grants Pass. But just that kind of feel. There's always seems like there's somebody you might know. There's always seems to be a good amount of goodwill out there, no matter what you hear on the news. And so that's what's kind of nice. There's stuff that obviously any town in Oregon, any town in the United States can't get away from, seems like these days, with homelessness or politics or what have you.
Of course.
But I think generally the people, when we get a lot of the front line as far as tourism or people that haven't been here before, or we've always stopped here for gas and kept going. Now we decided to check it out and see what's around. We get a lot of the people that say, there's a lot of nice people here. Mm-hmm. And I always am kind of curious about where they came from. Like, if you think this is a lot of nice people, I don't know, but I think it's true. That and the general support, I think, obviously we're a part of it, but it seems like Grants Pass is a hugely giving town. So you pretty much, currently my wife's raising money for the senior graduation party out at Hidden Valley, and just about anybody she talks to or whoever is trying to raise money for it gives money to it. Mm-hmm. And I know we get hit up weekly, if not almost daily sometimes, for donations and that kind of thing. And we probably shouldn't say this too loud, but we do give away stuff. So
I don't know if you noticed, but Lawton and I got busted a couple of days ago for giving away too much peanut butter. So
No. Is he tasting it?
I think he snuck a couple in his pocket, but no, I agree. This community, that has been one of the big things that I've noticed is just how giving the community is. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just so many people and so many programs out there designed to give back to the needy, and just in all kinds of different ways. And it's just, I find it fascinating, but it's just incredibly humbling, and just it's cool to be a part of, and it's just I love it. I love that part of this.
Well, and I think it does make you want to be a part of it too, and make you want to continue with it.
Yeah. Well, it's I would say that has been a huge inspiration for a lot of the stuff that I do is just trying to contribute, because there's a lot of people doing it, and I feel like it's kind of our duty to help do that. So. Yep. Lawton and I went to, the three of us did a podcast with Lisa Kelly, and Robin was going to join us, but he had some business to take care of yesterday. Or wasn't yesterday, the day before yesterday? When did we do that? Tuesday? Yeah. So we went out, and Lisa Kelly, they do that wipe out hunger thing for Kelly's Automotive.
Oh, right.
Where you bring in like a jar of peanut butter or jelly and they replace your wiper blades. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking to her, and she said that down 50% by what they were,
Wow.
the previous year that they did it. And so Lawton got the bright idea that we were going to go to whatever store we could and try to fill my truck up with peanut butter and jelly. So, and we probably would have if I didn't forget to take out half the stuff out of my truck bed. But yeah, we got a lot of peanut butter and jelly in the back of my truck. So
That was kind of fun. We
Hopefully
went to
still in the containers, but
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
We went to Walmart, and the comments you get at Walmart are worth it alone.
Yeah.
Like between them thinking you're stealing it and people being concerned that you're taking everything. And
Right.
Yeah.
But that's my peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One guy came up and was like, well, I'll take one of those and one of those.
Is that in the news?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one guy, like he said, was, he's like, is that all the grape jam? And we're like, well, not really. But he's like, that's the one I was looking for. I'm like, go ahead.
Take it.
Take it. Like, he's like, well, I don't want to take it from you. I'm just like, it's fine.
We got plenty.
It's not going to bother,
Yeah. And there's like another row of shelving full of all kinds of jellies.
Yeah. Whatever.
This is
Not
the only
great,
one.
though, but,
yeah, maybe that was it. I didn't check the flavor.
Yeah. Well, I think he wanted the cheap ones. And to be honest, that's what we were trying to buy is the cheapest
Right.
stuff we could.
The dollar store.
Yeah. Well, we could have gone to the dollar store, but we went to Winco and then realized we couldn't put it on our credit card because they take
right.
debit
Yeah,
only.
debit only. Yeah,
Unfortunately, we didn't load up both of those carts with this amount of how much.
Stop at the grocery.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, sorry. Well, I guess you all can put it back. We'll see you later." That would have been the biggest dick move ever. But we went to Walmart and took about as much of their great value peanut butter as we could, and as much of the jelly as we could, and then going out to the car. What did that guy say? He was like, "Do you guys leave any chunky peanut butter in there?" Like, it was just.
Well, that video when you jumped up and pushed the cart, like the very end of it, you can hear him start to talk. I wish I would have kept it going.
Yeah.
Because we got the whole thing on video.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like somebody in the store asked us if he's like, "Are those on sale? Is that why you guys are buying those?" To be like, "Yeah, because 10 cents off of peanut butter, I'm going to buy every last jar of
Gonna
it."
save a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. But that was a lot of fun. But it's my head's starting to itch here. Can't get my headphones off. Yeah, no, it's just Grants Pass is just really cool like that. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah. What else? There's a few businesses too that stand out to you. You didn't write them down in your questionnaire.
I did not. I tend not to signal people out.
Single people.
Single people out.
Yeah. It's all right.
But you mentioned him earlier. I think Row Motors is what he does and the shoes that he fills with his dad and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, Steve's phenomenal.
So it's mostly kind of like that. It's the people behind the businesses. So and it again goes to the Grants Pass feel of it, the hometown hustle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But,
People better recognize hometown hustle. Anyway, thank you for that, Lee. That was cool. Soundbite.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
But yeah, recognition specialty, nice badge, whatever. At the
Lol. Yeah.
When Circle J's was going, Hudson, a lot of the restaurants during COVID, we kept trying to order out for lunch all the time during that kind of thing, and
Circle J not make it.
he was done.
They just sold. Yeah.
Yeah, he was done with the restaurant business. They were doing fine, but
It's a lot.
he had a kid at home, and he wanted to spend more time at home than the restaurant allowed. But yeah, of course, on the spot, I guess I could have thought about it a little more with the questionnaire. But
No, it's okay. No, I think what I was trying to get you to get at was that it's not necessarily about the businesses themselves. I mean, we have amazing businesses here that are doing some really amazing things, not only locally, but nationwide and internationally and all that. But it's what you're trying to say is that it's not necessarily about the businesses that what stands out to you. It's the people who run them and the contribution that they make to community.
Most of them, I mean, even some of the bigger businesses, you might run into them, and it's so cliche, but they're normal people.
Mm-hmm.
I think about my daughter worked at a grocery outlet and still does when she comes home from college. They hire her back on, and they came in and made an ornament with us at one point, and it was kind of like, yeah, you're just, Siskiyou Design people, the Hodges, and just great people, and you'd never know. I'm thinking of Oregon Swiss, just the fields.
Right.
You talk to them, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
they're people.
They're normal people running a business, but they give a lot back to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the fields do a lot too, with Boatnik and the Active Club and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah.
How'd you get on the chamber board? Who asked you to do that?
Well, I think to steal somebody's word, I was voluntold. I think at one point.
Who said that? I didn't say that.
But yeah, basically, yeah. Hugh Griffiths roped me in at that point, and to be honest,
Hugh.
it was a time where I was kind of like, what
That
with the
doesn't
volunteers, exactly, how much they do. Like, well, okay, I could do something. It's not my favorite thing to do is to be on a board meeting, but
It's a great board though. There's a lot of cool people on the board. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, Hugh is what who yeah, he got both of us.
That's kind of whatever.
Well, Nancy Venuti wrote me in. I took her board position.
Okay.
When she was kind of easing her way out of doing stuff like that. So I took her board position, but Hugh is the one he was chair of the board when I got roped into voluntold to be the chair of the board. So
Robin's looking vulnerable over there. I think he's going to be on the chamber board soon.
he came to cool. he came to me a couple weeks ago after you got signed up for some other committees and things. Oh, no, it was because of you. Yeah, because of Lawton called. Lawton and I have been on the YPN committee since it started, and so Lawton's been not trying to get out of it, but figured it was time to get out of it, and so he roped Robin into being the vice chair. Oh. And Robin came into my office. He's like, how did this happen? Like, he's involved in so much now. And like when he first got started in real estate, you were involved in some stuff, but not nearly as much.
I kind of tried to stay out of it because Kate's in everything.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem right.
Somebody's got to stay home, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah.
Yeah, but he's all voluntold to a lot of stuff now. But he's like, how did it get like this? I'm like, well,
it went from like 0 to 60 in like a week.
Yeah.
It was like all of a sudden I'm on 3 different boards and
Rotary committees and
yeah.
It's a compliment. It really is.
It feels like one. It's nice, and I'm happy to help, but it just kind of happened. I was sitting in his office like, wow, what happened?
Yeah, because you hang out with me and Kate. That's the problem.
That's right.
So it's maybe it's a compliment, or maybe we're just suckers because we just won't say no.
No, I tell myself it's a compliment.
Oh,
It's a compliment.
That's how I go to sleep at night.
In a dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been cool, Lee. I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's just really cool getting to know you and letting you kind of share your story about your business and what you're doing.
I appreciate you having me on. I think it's fun.
Yeah. It's a compliment. So
just sorry there's no cake.
Sucker. Oh, yeah. I can't eat cake anyway, so it's all good. Yeah. No, just appreciate it. Thank you for spending your time with us. And if you're out there and you're paying attention, go down to the Glass Forge if you haven't been already. Blow some glass, make some ornaments, get some cool stuff, and give Lee a holler. Tell him hi. Tell him we said hello. So
Ask him about the glory hole.
Oh yeah,
we've got a couple of them.
Holy smokes! Okay, it was Big Nuts with Tiffany, and now it's Glory Holes. Hope you all enjoyed it. You never make it this far. That's a wrap. Go check out the Glory Hole at the Glass Forge. You're welcome.